Good morning, all attendees all over the world. My name is Ivy, and it's my honor to be your host on the second day of Theme Park Vietnam's Virtual Expo and Conference 2021, which our distinguished guest, virtual delegate, who is on behind and supportive to this event. Before I introduce to you our notable guests for today, let me give everyone some important information. For those who want to ask questions for our presenter or any related issues, please feel free to use our chat box for your inquiry, and I will reading on the questions after each presentation. This will be very informative day for everyone. Please be informed that our conference recordings and virtual book will be available on a watch on demand till 30 December 2021. At this juncture, may I welcome you to the second day of our Theme Park Vietnam Virtual Expo and Conference 2021. And now for my pleasant task of introducing first of this morning affair. He has more than 20 years of senior executive and leadership experience across the consumer leisure, tourism, hospitality, and entertainment. Our prominent speaker will be presenting the topics on World Title Contest, Designs versus Dollar versus Operator, who is the winner. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to have a pleasure of introducing Director of Business Delivery of Pico Play, Theme Park Attraction and Entertainment, Mr. Noel Dempsey. Thank you. Mr. Noel, the floor is yours now.
Thank you very much, Ivy. It's great to be here. Let me just share my screen and then we'll get started. Sorry?
Yeah, I can see your screen now.
Thank you very much for letting me know. That's great. So let's get started. For the World Title Championship, design versus delivery versus dollars. Who is the winner?
Now, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world on HBO pay-per-view, ladies and gentlemen, from Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas, let's get ready to rumble!
Well, good morning, Vietnam. I've always wanted to say that, and I am today, but we're not quite coming to you from Las Vegas. I'm here from Australia. Great to see you at this conference. Look forward to seeing you in person next year when the world hopefully returns to a bit of normality. My name's Noel Dempsey. I'm the Business Director at Pico Play. My background is multifaceted across theme parks, leisure, entertainment, casinos, food, beverage, hotels. There's quite a bit in there. But today we're here to talk about the ultimate challenge. And this challenge has been going on for a long time. I'm sure when they were building the pyramids, they also had this challenge. But today it's ever more present, and there's a number of contenders for the title. In one corner, we have the designers, pencil at the ready to deliver to the world something magical. I've got the calculator there with the bankers and the financiers, spreadsheets for Africa. In the other corner, I've got the operators thinking about how am I actually going to deliver this? How is it going to work in reality? And the fourth corner is taken up by the customer. So who will win this ultimate title challenge? Well, I'm sorry to spoil it for you, but ultimately I'm the type of guy who reads the last page of a mystery novel first. So I'm going to give you the answer. I think you might know it. And the answer is the guest. The guest is omnipresent for everything we do. It starts with the guest, it ends with the guest. So I'm sorry to tell you and spoil your fun, but the winner today is the guest and should always be the guest. However, to deliver the right solution for the guest takes a team of people working together. So for me, it starts with an idea. And my challenge to everyone today is that ideas need to start to be big and bold. They can come from anywhere within an organisation. They should be allowed to flourish, develop. No idea is a bad idea. It just needs to start with great thought processes to introduce new concepts. Now, the reason I talk about this is things have changed in Asia over a long period of time. 20 years ago, the model was, I've seen it somewhere else in the world, and today it's changed. Then it was replication, copycat. Today, it's all about finding a point of difference in a world that's becoming increasingly commoditized. So my idea is, I think, create the big idea, go big or go home. And if it starts with design, design is not something that sits in isolation or not something that can just be seen. Design has to work. It has to work with all of the partners, all of the contestants in the title fight tonight. It's different to art because it needs to have a purpose and it needs to work effectively with a number of different stakeholders. But taking the idea of that or the concept of big ideas further, one of the challenges to the group today is how do you deliver the wow? And my challenge is ultimately that you don't deliver the wow by doing small copycat changes, small things that you think will make a difference but don't. Guests and customers today are more sophisticated than ever, and they want new, they want innovative. Not necessarily shocked, but they want to be surprised, delighted. So don't think small, think big. Small ideas have the potential to look like a pig with lipstick. At the end of the day, a small idea or a pig is still a pig, even if you put lipstick on it. So get big and think big. And from that point of view, there are two types of changes and ideas that I wanted to talk about. And both can work, but my challenge is probably to go for one over the other. One is to introduce step change, something that occurs that has a transformational change on the audience that you're looking to appeal to. The other one is small incremental changes that happen over a period of time. Now, both can work, but my challenge to the team today in looking for a point of difference in the attractions and leisure industry is how do you wow your customers? You don't do it by painting the ride, painting the fence, changing the sign, etc. You've got to go further. So in the development of new ideas, the challenge that I have for the team today is to go further than you need to and then work backwards. By working backwards, then you'll ensure the implementation. But at its core, you're talking about something that is quite transformational and has the potential to wow your customers. Contained in this challenge about new ideas and attraction development is the role of the expert, the consultant, the person who's done it before. Clearly at Pico Play, that's a role that we play. And one question or a series of questions to ask yourself if you're in that type of role is, what do you do? Do you give the client what they want? Do you give the banker what he needs? Do you give the customer the right solution? There seems to be a lot of competing interests here. But ultimately, the challenge for all of us is to ensure there is good, strong debate, engagement, where we're able to develop insight by learning about the opportunities, learning about the needs for each of the parties at the table, and then to recommend the right solution. Because I've told you already that the winner ultimately is the guest. So whether it be the operator, the designer, the finance guy, we're all around the table for the whole journey, ensuring that our views are heard and hopefully the right solution is being delivered for the client. So today I wanted to talk to you about this idea of concept to delivery through the eyes of a really exciting project and a really exciting attraction segment across the world today, and that is man-made surf parks. So I'm speaking to you from Australia. The picture on the screen at the moment is the Gold Coast, surfers' paradise in the Gold Coast. This is the home of surfing for us and for a large part of the world. Beautiful natural waves, long beaches, sand, and waves that turn in 24/7, 365 days a year, sometimes. So the idea that was developed by the Parkwood Village Integrated Club Resort was can we create man-made waves in this great location? What is the challenge? What is the opportunity? Would it work? It seems counterintuitive to put man-made waves in one of the best locations for surfing in the world. So let's talk through how this idea got to market. As I said, I like to call this the funnel of success. It starts with an idea, think big, be bold, be innovative, go further than you need to, come back. An idea will sit on the shelf forever unless you can assess the demand. The winner is the customer needs to vote, and we need to see that there's going to be a demand for the idea that you've created. But then it needs to go through a funnel that incorporates all of our partners. Design, the financier, the operations delivery. You could call it the 4 Ds. I need demand, I need design, I need the dong in Vietnam, and I need the operational delivery person. But whatever you call it, what I'm saying is the three people at the end, at the bottom of the table there, need to work in harmony to make the product come alive. It's not one or the other. It's not one in isolation. It's everyone at the table for every step of the way. So at Pico Play, we have what we call a strategic planning process that encapsulates all of those people at the table for the whole journey. Number one is about understanding your market, the demand, making sure the idea has room to grow and flourish and be successful. Secondly, it's about the design, getting a lot of people around the table, the right people to influence the design. It's not a backroom job that's done late at night on a desk table. Thirdly, the people to deliver it need to be at the table, the operations people. And lastly, it needs to show a financial and commercial return that makes the idea justifiable. So what about surf parks, surf lagoons? They are the hottest property today in the attractions industry. And why wouldn't they be? Surfing's been around a long time. And there's a lot of surfers worldwide, particularly in Australia and other markets. But the potential to grow that market in new locations is mouthwatering. And across the world today, there are multiple developments underway to capture a new market. And think about it. Yeah, waves are there on the coast, but sometimes you go there and they're not there. It's a flat day or the weather's bad. You've then got sharks, rips, tides. All of those are challenging to grow that market share to a new audience. So imagine a world where you can create the best waves in the world in a location that's nowhere near the coastline. For me, I think this has enormous potential in the Asian market, a market not traditionally known for surfing, but maybe, just maybe, there's a lot of people that want to surf. They want to give it a go. They've seen it. They like the lifestyle. They like the natural element. How do I get started? And I think personally that the Asian market has great potential to grow this particular sector. But it's a complicated beast. It ain't easy. If it was, it would have been done. And you really do need to spend time understanding the market. We'll talk more in detail about this, but there's a customer demand. You've got land. How big is it? What size do I need? I've got a budget. Do I have enough money? Is this going to work? Surf parks aren't cheap. Everyone wants one. They're new and shiny, but ultimately they need to be put into the funnel of success to make sure that they deliver the return that you need. You've then got the challenge of whether is this a standalone surf park or will it be coordinated within an integrated resort? Will it be an anchor attraction? There's multiple questions. And then ultimately, There's no shortage of suppliers, so which one is right for me? So if it starts with demand, as I've mentioned before, that is an intensive market study that's required to understand your particular market. How many surfers today? How many people want to surf tomorrow? Is there any competition? Do I need to conduct some research to understand what people are prepared to pay for this service, this attraction? What is the appropriate benchmarks that I can benchmark this development against? What are the attitudes around surfing? How can I deliver insight? Is there research that will help make this job easier? So ultimately, before you take that idea to market, you really need to understand the desktop research required to support the idea, both internationally as a sector, but also more importantly for the location where you're based. So let's talk about Parkwood. Parkwood on the Gold Coast, the home of surfing and surfers' paradise. Well, what challenges did they have? So if we just start maybe at a high level within a design framework, this was challenging. This is challenging. You have here a Parkwood resort that was a golf club and an entertainment membership club existing already, a premier golf club existing within a residential framework. So where does it start? Well, there's budget, there's land size, there's location. If this job was left to a designer ultimately by themselves, they'd say, look, I can see the land, I can see a space, I'm going to whack it there. Who needs the 18th hole for this golf course? We'll make the golf course 17 holes and she'll be right. Now, I don't think it works like that. This was a complicated design project that needed everyone at the table to assess the right location, what else was needed in the development, what other factors could influence the surf park and how it would integrate with the existing resort. And slowly but surely, with the right people at the table, you started to develop something that had the semblance of a master plan. And this included a range of factors. One was the location. And it wasn't just an available space. Surfing needs the right conditions, the right wind conditions. It needs to be thought about in that sense. This facility and attraction needs to integrate with the rest of the resort. It was already a high-performing golf club, event centre, a high-performance sports centre. It had ancillary revenue and health and wellness benefits as well. So where should it go? What would the customer flow look like? What would make sense? In addition to that, you had a high residential component nearby. So how do we ensure that the development enhances the livability of people in the area and is seen as a benefit to the area and not just a blight on the audience? And then you had the location, the circulation and the flow of customers within the facility. Yes, we needed to cater for surfers, but just as importantly, this development had short-term accommodation, hotel resort, a brew house, a major events and entertainment area for concerts. It had villas. So this was a village. This was a whole city that needed to work together. And again, it couldn't happen with just design in isolation, operations in isolation, nor the banker counting the dollars. It then evolved to become more than just a pretty picture. It started to become real. And when it becomes real, a picture paints 1,000 words. So I went through a long process of evaluating a mass modelling exercise so people could see the scale, how it appeared on the land, the amount of landscaping, fly-throughs so that residents, investors and others could see how it looked from the air, from the ground. Customers were seeing a walkthrough so they could experience the attraction. And so all of this is balanced by what we can afford and what we can deliver to a customer. But again, the point being made is it would never happen in isolation. All those decisions were made jointly. So I've now got an idea that's gone into a location. It's a preliminary design. Is it going to work? Can I afford it? What's the demand like? How do I start to measure that demand? So the market study needs to be quite detailed. Our process starts with the local residents. We define that as being a primary and secondary market, people that are nearby within an hour, people that are in that sort of 1 to 3 hour range that will go to an attraction for the day. We look at that market, look at how it's growing. What is the potential for that market to want to come to this type of attraction? You then move into a tourism research phase and you look at who's coming to the destination, the Gold Coast at the moment. How is that broken down? It's not just about numbers either. It's about understanding the purpose for the visit. Not everyone that comes to a holiday destination is there for a holiday. There's a percentage of people there that are going to be visiting friends and relatives, and others that may be looking for business. And so they're going to be less inclined to want to spend time at a new attraction. And then lastly, to validate a lot of that desktop research, it's important to look at talking to the target market that you want to come and finding out what their drivers are. What is the price point range, the range of services, the range of attractions that you think will need to deliver a successful attraction. So you're moving towards this idea where you've got an idea of the visitation or the attraction forecast. And here's, for me, something I find very interesting, which is often you'll hear numbers bandied around about this attraction will do 500,000 per annum. Valid in its own right for financial purposes. But sitting there as an operator, I really don't care about the 500,000. I'm interested in when these people are going to come and how it's going to affect the operation. So the analysis goes to another level where you start to break it down on a seasonality basis against low, medium, high. When are the peak periods, the shoulder periods? You're not going to be busy all the time. You'd like to be, but that's not the case. And so you start to get a picture of the seasonality, and importantly then, on a day, you start to work out, well, tell me when the people are going to come. So forget the 500,000 per annum. When are they going to come during the day? How do I staff for that? How is the designer going to make his facility and master plan cope with a day part that extends from 6 a.m. in the morning to potentially 10 p.m. at night? So understanding that flow should be part of the analysis. From a supplier point of view, there's no shortage of options. It's an interesting sector at the moment. There's probably up to 100 projects around the world that are underway. But operating commercially today, I'd say there's probably only about 10. So a lot of it is promotional material designed to induce and entice, and there's no shortage. And they're all quality operators that in time, I think, will produce quality waves. But there's very few operating surf parks around the world today. So part of the review needs to focus on what they can actually deliver beyond a sort of test sample or a test bed, seeing it in action and being able to prove the technology for next year, but the next 20 years. That extends to not only the creation of large man-made waves, but also smaller pools that can provide standing wave technology for smaller locations. So there is a myriad of opportunities out there, but the challenge for all of us is how do you choose the right solution for you that fits your location and your purpose? Here's two of the world leaders in surf parks today, Wave Garden and Endless Surf. And on face value, they look very similar. They have various zones within the pool, the surf lagoon, that provide expert surfing, intermediate surfing, beginner surfing. So clearly, they're both very well-established companies and they can create a great wave. So what's the difference? Why would I choose one over the other? Well, as you look deeper, it's important to recognise some of the differences and the suitability for your location. Wave Garden on the left has a cove-based environment. That may be right for your location or it may not be. It challenges your master planning idea. Endless Surf has more of a heart shape design probably accentuates the beach area, which may be more popular for different locations. Wavegarden has moving parts in the water that create the waves, whereas Endless Surf has pneumatic technology, and that might create differences in power consumption, might create differences in maintenance and longevity. So whilst a lot of people can create waves, there are differences in the technology that need to be understood. From that technology, you then dive deeper again. You start to look at the wave frequency, the number of surfers per session, the time between the session and the waves per hour. And these differ depending on the model and the technology that you would look to employ. But again, you're just peeling back the onion and going deeper and deeper to understand the capability of the technology. So that wave mix is very important depending on the location. Some locations may have a bias towards expert surfers who are prepared to pay more to get barrel waves time and time and time again. Other locations may have a more of a beginner or tourist market that want to try the product for the first time. So there might be more play in the bay, beginner waves, different price points, different capacity per session. You then matrix that against high occupancy days, medium occupancy days, low occupancy days. Well, how many waves will I run? How will I save my power? It becomes a complicated matrix to understand and get the mix right. Through all that analysis, you've got attendance, revenue, the surf mix. Good proposals then need to satisfy the investment return, and a detailed cash flow is appropriate. So we would look at not only the revenue, which we've talked a little bit about today, but then understanding all of the expenses and the costs to support that revenue. And again, the prevailing view here today is that this is not a contest. This is 3 or 4 partners around the table at every step. The operators will be looking at how many lifeguards do I need? Where should they be positioned? How do I get customers and guests into the surf pool? The designer will be accommodating that. The financier will be looking at the break even and the price points required to sell the waves that they want. So ultimately, then you're looking at a return on investment for the total project. And these projects need to really return over 20 years. Surf parks are not cheap, but it's the level of detail required. There's a lot of people want a surf park, but some people not sure what surf park they need and what level of investment and operating capability they want. So we've talked about design, idea generation, how that plays out into an investment framework, the numbers, the revenue, but the operators need to have a say as well. And taking Parkwood as an example, this is a multifaceted, integrated resort. It has accommodation, hospitality, events, golf, surfing. It's endless. So how do they all work together? How do they enhance a total experience? And the operator's view is that you look at every opportunity where the brand touches the customer as an opportunity to delight. And so for me, it starts with operational mapping the customer journey. And in an example like Parkwood, that's critical because I might play golf in the morning and I might surf in the afternoon. I might surf in the morning and have lunch at the brew house. I might surf in the morning and get married in the afternoon. I don't know. But understanding all of those various components and how they play together is critical for the success of the project. And every opportunity is there to enhance the value because you may have the world's greatest wave, but ultimately the experience is made up of a myriad of touch points that create a great experience. And the operators of this world know that there's far more than just a customer flow. It's about resource management, environmental sustainability, customer service, safety and maintenance, critical in a new style of attraction like this. How are we going to market it? What's the technology and information that we can use across an integrated resort that will enhance the experience for the guest involved? Again, None of these happen in isolation. The operator is there at the start of the journey with the designer and with the accountant and the financier to make sure that all of it's in balance, that the needs are being met for everyone at every step along the way. So then it finishes with the wow. Here is an example of the project we're working on at Parkwood, which will be one of the finest, I think, surf park integrated resorts in the world. Golf course, short-term accommodation, beautiful sense of greenery, lifestyle living as well, a great place to be. And the challenge was met. How do you deliver that in the home of surfing in Surfers Paradise on the Gold Coast? The project's underway with permitting in place now, so look forward to seeing that live soon. So let's bring that all together. We've talked about the funnel for success. It starts with an idea. It needs the demand to be measured. The customer is the winner. If they don't like it, it doesn't go anywhere. So do your homework, do the study. It then moves through a funnel that has all parties at the table, the designer, the banker, the operator. Every step of the way is the best approach to achieve success long term. So there you have it. We are all on the same team, everyone at the table, and the customer is the winner. What could go wrong? Well, every now and then it does go wrong. Maybe here's an example.
This man is unlike you or I. He cannot hear the phone ringing, even though it's only 18 inches away from him.
That is until now, because a team of research students at Guy's Hospital have invented this device, the audiovisual sonic communication system with this, a microprocessor base. It enables a flash bulb suspended here to be connected to an aerial receiver here whenever the phone where the transmitter is housed begins to ring. So now, when this is warm, even a deaf person knows when the phone is ringing.
Is anyone there?
Well, thank you very much. I'm sure some of you out there have never seen a landline, but hopefully that encapsulates some of the challenges with design as well. My name's Noel Dempsey. We're here to create fun at Pico Play. I hope you enjoyed my session today, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nguyen, for your very exciting presentations. So, because now I have some questions from our audience, but I think we have now time for one questions first. The rest question we can answer live. Yeah. So, the questions for you is: how do operators influence the early stage of design, site planning, and guest circulation?
Yeah, well, as I said, I think operators need to be involved at the start, not at the end. Sometimes in design and the development of new attractions, there's a temptation to have a concept, a design, finance group, and then pass it to the operators. It's too late by then. So ultimately, if the question I hear is right, they need to be involved upfront to understand some of the pitfalls and look at all of the opportunities for those customer touch points to be important. And to be honest, that's an attitude. It's an attitude of a business to recognise that all those people need to be at the table from day one, and they're not separate and they don't work in isolation.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Nguyen, for your answer.